There's a lot to expect from the upcoming NFL season. While the discussions over the best teams and the best players have become a little too common, we've decided to take a look at the bottom end of the picture. In today's video, we'll be discussing the teams that will be vying for the worst team in the league. As unpredictable as it could be, we're giving it a shot. So let's get started. Starting with number 10, Houston Texans. The Texans fan base knows that there's not a lot to look forward to in 2022. Their side ranks bottom or near the dreaded spot in almost every position, and that's certainly a big indicator of what they're in for this season. Houston has one of the weakest offenses, if not the weakest, along with the worst wide receiver rooms in the league, and a line that won't be able to generate a lot of safety. Things aren't great in the quarterback department as their biggest name, Davis Mills, is still a developing player. He's got the potential, but he isn't anywhere near the quality most other teams possess in the league. Similarly, a poor defense with young names won't be helping their cause at all. Although, we think their secondary will improve with Derek Stingley, and that's probably the only hope they have. All said and done, they're undergoing a rebuild, and we don't think they'll be making a playoff leap this season. Up next at number 9, New York Giants. For what it's worth, we think the Giants will improve on the horror showing of last season. Not to mention, they've already pretty much won the NFL Draft 2022. But the problem is, you can't plug every single gap in the same offseason, and that's where we think they'll be lacking. There are many questions about what we can expect from the Giants, and they're not all good. And then the doubts over their running back. What happens with Saquon Barkley's health? Will he be fit enough and available for most games for the Giants? These are important questions, and we're not sure if they'll get a lucky break in each situation. Daniel Jones will also be playing his last season as the starting quarterback, or at least he should be. There's promise all right, but it's not enough, and the Giants should be on the prowl for a QB next season. Moving on with number 8, Detroit Lions. Okay, we apologize. This was a little too easy, because this is one bet which is safe as houses. The Detroit Lions are mostly one of the worst franchises over the course of a season, and they just can't win games consistently enough. They've struggled this past decade, and unfortunately, things don't look too good with their current roster either. One thing they do excel in is the fact that they can live with the ups and downs of an NFL season, and now they've added a few pieces to that strength too. We think they'll be better than they were last season, but being better than 10 teams might just be a step too far for the Detroit side. Coming in at number 7, Jacksonville Jaguars. Number 7 in the Jaguars? You know this is a little bit of a stretch considering they've consistently been the worst side in the NFL for the last 2 seasons. Although, more importantly, the Jaguars have added the likes of Trevor Lawrence and Trayvon Walker, 2 fantastic additions that'll improve the squad for sure. But you can't turn around the team with only 2 players, and that's something they'll probably find out the hard way this season. What they need to do is build a culture within the franchise, and that's the need of the hour for sure, especially after that ugly Urban Meyer era. The worst team in the NFL for back-to-back seasons will definitely not be better than 10 other teams, but we sense a bit of improvement. Not enough to finish ahead of 10 other sides, and that'll remain a problem. But there's a bit of hope, and we ask the Jaguars fans to hang on. On to number 6, the New York Jets. The winners of the draft, along with the Giants, were the New York Jets. Some superb picks included the likes of Ahmad Sauce Gardner, Garrett Wilson, and Jermaine Johnson in the first round, meaning that they're pretty much back with amazing planning. However, there's a big issue. Their roster is super young, and we think if they want to escape the worst 10, they'll need a bit more time. At the same time, a lot of this depends on Zach Wilson. If he can take a giant leap this year, they might actually have enough to compete too. At the same time, let's not pin too many hopes on Wilson. It's only his second season, and we just don't think everything will go the Jets' way. If we were Jets fans, we'd be very happy and excited about the potential of this young team. Entering the top 5 with Seattle Seahawks. Losing Russell Wilson to the Broncos was tough, but the Seahawks have built a new roster around DK Metcalf. Unfortunately though, Metcalf's holding out as he wants a new contract, and that means they probably have the worst quarterback room in the NFL. You can't be a good NFL team with the likes of Drew Lock or Geno Smith starting. It just makes no sense, if we're being honest. At the same time though, just like the Jets, the Seahawks are also heavily dependent on Drew Lock having a great season. If he does, they'll improve. And if they do improve, they still won't be better than 10 teams in the NFL. The needle can't move far enough just with Lock improving. They need a miracle, and we don't think they're getting one. Just can't happen, not with this roster. After that, at number 4, Atlanta Falcons. Talking about wild off seasons, the Falcons definitely had one. They traded probably the greatest ever player in their franchise history with Matt Ryan, going to the Indianapolis Colts. It's a big loss, but let's not forget they also lost their superstar wide receiver Calvin Ridley, who had to take a bit of a sabbatical for mental health and later was suspended in the offseason for gambling. However, there's certainly a bit of rebuilding going on in Atlanta. Their fans, though, will be very much hopeful that the likes of Marcus Mariota or Desmond Ridder at quarterback aren't great so that they can get one of the top picks for next year's draft, and they can bring in a quarterback who can surprise everyone. We wouldn't be putting our money for them to finish in the top 10 though. Into the top 3 with the Washington Commanders. Okay, now things are super bleak with the next 3 teams. Like the Jaguars, the Commanders were pretty much one of the worst teams in the NFL, and their decision to trade for Carson Wentz, quarterback, wasn't exactly a smart idea, as they found out a little later on. That doesn't change the fact that the Commanders remain one of the most dysfunctional franchises in the NFL, and there's so much controversy surrounding the team, the franchise, and its front office. Free agents want to stay clear of Washington for this very reason, and that's cost them quite a bit in recent years. What they need to do is build a culture and become more competent by taking out some of the bad apples from the management. If they can overhaul the roster too, there's a chance that they can reach the point they aspire to, but it won't be happening this season, that's for sure. Then at number 2, Carolina Panthers. The most interesting NFL team for us coming into the season is the Carolina Panthers. For the Panthers, there are some questions that still need to be answered. Who will be the starting quarterback coming into the season? Will Sam Darnold, Matt Corral, or possibly the newest addition, Baker Mayfield? There's certainly a carousel of quarterbacks to pick from, but we still doubt either of these options can help them improve on the 7th worst finish from last season, and they need to improve, massively and quickly. Mayfield seems to be the best option, but is it a case of him being a shiny new toy, or is he genuinely good? As we mentioned, the NFL is unpredictable, and it's very hard to say how things will turn out. But things don't look great for Carolina, and fans should be prepared for disappointment. Finally at number 1, Chicago Bears. First, let's get the good out of the way for the Bears, and that's quite obviously Justin Fields. He's had so many games where he's looked unstoppable, but the first problem arises in that department as well, because he was so inconsistent. The flash is exciting enough, but can he keep it up for a full season? The Bears have the worst depth on paper, particularly when you discuss the offenses, and we just think they'll be the worst side in the league as well. A couple of injuries and it's curtains for the Bears. That's a wrap for this video. Which of these picks do you disagree with? Let us know in the comments below. Make sure to give this video a thumbs up and subscribe to our channel for more videos like this. See you in the next one.